Give them a shot to do what?
So that's why my nickname in the military was Leaky McSqueaky. But on today's episode, we have NFL playoffs to talk about as we're down to the final 8 teams and the big news of Mike Tomlin stepping away from the Steelers after 19 years in a surprising but not shocking move, I guess, for the Steelers after losing to the Houston Texans. But we got our guy Adam Lewis in the building. And by the way, gentlemen, can you please let me know who the Eagles are playing this week? That gotcha.
There we go. Early.
That's nobody. Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports. I am the Facebook felon Jerm. With me, as always, the greatest podcast partner in the world, the prettier Corey Bert. And joining us tonight, great friend of the show, the realest in the state in real estate, the host of the NFL with AJL, Adam Lewis. And this broadcast is presented by the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee, and sponsored, as always, by the haters. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the first timers, last timers, and long timers. If you got some thoughts, some takes, whatever, ideas, all that stuff, throw them in the comments. We actually read those. And if you want to help us out, please share. Send it to your buddy, your uncle, your mom, whoever you think will be into this. We're just trying to grow this thing. All right. So, gentlemen, good evening. How are you doing today?
Yo.
Doing good.
Man.
It was a good football weekend, man. It was exciting.
It was.
Close games, you know?
It was one of the hottest wild card weekends I can remember.
I was just going to say that, if not one of the best, I think because of the uncertainty, right? Like, usually you get the powerhouses in there, and we're kind of expecting, like, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And I guess maybe last year with the Chiefs being a little bit more vulnerable than we used to, maybe there was a little bit of, can they make it? But now, you know, this year it seems more wide open than it's been the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that makes for great TV. There's a lot of like tiny storylines, right? Like the renewal of the Bears-Packers rivalries, like thanks to the coaches. It's like, it makes it more interesting. And then to see if Josh Allen can finally, you know, get his, kind of put the stamp on his legacy. And then obviously you have, you know, a bunch of these young and up and coming quarterbacks, seeing if they can make a name for themselves. But I guess where we should start right now is Mike Tomlin stepping down or being asked to leave. This feels like a more, hey, we're going to let you have some dignity. How about you leave on your own terms? No longer the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, a 19-year reign, one of the most winningest coaches of all time. I don't know about top 10, but he's probably somewhere in that class picture, probably somewhere in the 9 to 12 range, depending on what you like. But Adam, I'll start with you. Thoughts on Mike Tomlin retiring? What do you think's going to happen with him? Will he jump into coaching or what?
I think it'll be kind of like when we saw, I believe it was Mike McCarthy step away for about a year, and then he came back into coaching. Yeah. And we've seen some coaches step out of the league. Most recently, Sean Payton stepped away from the Saints for a year, went on to coach for the Broncos. It was shocking, but it wasn't, because we knew it was the stage of being average and mediocre with a team that was all about stairway to 7. We have the most Super Bowl rings within NFL history until Tom Brady comes along and wins 7. So we know what the Steelers have really established. And my cousin Ryan, shout out to him if he's watching the show, he's a big Steelers fan. And he's like, oh, why should we, I told him before Tomlin stepped down just a few hours later, I said, y'all need to let go of Tomlin. And he said, why? So we can become the Falcons, Saints, Jets, Raiders. And I said, nothing like, and we see this in real life, right? Nothing like being stuck in mediocrity and average because you're afraid to take that next step. Oh, well, who do we go out and get? this coaching hire isn't horrible. Like, we've seen the memes of the Steelers and the Ravens have the chance to do the funniest thing possible. Clint Kubiak on the market could be a great fit, and I think he needs to go to more of an offensively driven team. But the Steelers don't fire coaches, right? They weren't going to mutually part ways. They damn sure weren't going to fire Mike Tomlin. He stepped down. This was probably a well-discussed thing between the organization, and rightfully so. We know that Pittsburgh is one of the better ran organizations in the league. But when you look at literally all 31 other NFL teams, besides, I believe, the New York Jets, have had a playoff win since the Pittsburgh Steelers have last won a playoff game 9 years ago. 9 straight first-round exits, or not first-round exits, 9 straight years of losing, 19 seasons. And we're not going to take away the fact that Mike Tomlin is a Super Bowl champion, but it's like I said with Jim Harbaugh, 2 things can be true. Mike Tomlin is still a good, not great coach, and it was time for the Steelers to move on. They let him step down. He'll probably take a year off, but if for some reason he goes and he's a defensive assistant or a defensive coordinator, I don't think anybody's shocked. I feel like we're waiting on the report of, when John Harbaugh had 7 phone calls in 45 minutes. We'll see if it's the same for Tomlin.
Bert, do you think this was the right time, or do you think this was kind of out of nowhere?
No, I think it was the right time. I think I have actually said it a couple times before this season, despite the fact of having an over 500 season year over year, they fall, as Adam said, they're first round exits, and that's it. They haven't done anything in the playoffs, really, honestly, since Ben was their quarterback. So I do think it was time. And much like I said with John Harbaugh, look, a change needs to happen. And when you have these 18-year, 19-year tenure, yes, I think the current days of the NFL, unfortunately, no longer warrant that unless you're winning Super Bowls, plain and simple. I think it's very much immediate results driven now. So look, I think change of scenery can be good. I do agree with Adam. I don't think we're going to find him anywhere next year. I think he's going to step away for a year, contemplate retirement or what he wants in his next chapter. Maybe he's going to do the Belichick thing and go do university coaching, or we'll find him, I don't know, in Miami, Atlanta, who knows? But yeah, I do think it was time. I think both for the organization as well as Mike Tomlin too.
Yeah, it's kind of, I was debating this back and forth because it's hard, when you have a coach that, like, let's say, like the Ravens, for example, you fired John Harbaugh because this was he was a firing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got 7 teams that immediately called within the hour of him firing, and obviously there was only those openings, which means that a team that already had a coach actually called him too.
Yeah.
But when you have a situation where several other teams are immediately asking for your services after you've been let go or you whatever, quit, resign, fired, it makes you kind of contemplate if you made the right decision. And Mike Tomlin obviously is going to gauge a lot of interest. I understand the lack of playoff success. However, I would be curious to know how much roster input did he really have? We just had, Steve Buscemi with the Ravens kind of basically say, Lamar ain't got no power, I got the power, which led me to believe John Harbaugh didn't have much say in what happened with the roster specifically. I wonder if the Rooneys allowed Mike Tomlin that because, like you said, after Ben Roethlisberger, not much was happening in the way of quarterback, right? With Duck Hodges, Mitch Trubisky, Justin Fields, like it just Mason Rudolph. Like I got to imagine someone of Mike Tomlin is a better scout of talent than that. I would hope to believe that, but because he's had, it's funny if you look out throughout his tenure after the Super Bowl, he's only gotten one thing right. Like it's either the defensive line, he's gotten somebody, but he's never been able to put it all together. And I'd be really interested to know if that's him or if he was getting some pushback from the front office. I did read an interesting note because he stepped down. I guess a team would technically have to trade for him because of the contract situation. So he has 1 year or some like a year or some change left on his contract. And because he stepped down, he wasn't fired and he didn't resign in a way of like he's voiding his money. The Steelers have his rights for, I believe it's another year at least. And so a team would technically have to trade for him, which is similar to what you mentioned, Adam, the Sean Payton situation.
Correct.
He went and did TV for a year.
First round pick out of Sean Payton.
Right. And then a team, I believe he had 2 years or something like that left on his, and they ended up trading for him after the first year and got that pick. And so Tomlin could possibly do the same thing. I don't know if anybody's going to do that. Something tells me he'll be great on TV. I can't wait to hear him. He'll do perfectly fine. And maybe he doesn't want to coach anymore. I don't know, but it's just interesting considering that the Steelers have only had 3 coaches since 1969.
That's insane. That's an insane stat to me. It really is
a nut stat.
But you're telling me so him
continuity.
stepping down is not counting as that doesn't count as resigning?
Because he could be stepping down in the organization.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Like lowering
right.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bruce Arians did. I'm pretty sure Bruce Arians stepped down and he wanted to go work in the front office. I guess that's really a step up, but he stayed with the organization, so he's still employed by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
But he stepped down as head coach. Third in wins all time, or not all time. Third in wins in the league since he coached for the Steelers too. Another very impressive stat there.
Yeah, and that's why it's hard to rank him, right? Because you can't argue with his success in terms of winning, except then obviously these guys get judged by rings, but like you're not going to sit there and tell him. Like I saw one of these podcasts say that he was actually a mediocre coach. I was like, that's not true. Like I can get the criticism of not winning in the playoffs, but to call Mike Tomlin mediocre is asinine to me. That's insane. I do not believe that, but hey, you do what you got to do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Tomlin, but let's go back to the NFL as it currently stands. We are on to the divisional round, but we had some really good games in the wild card. And so, Bert, I'll start with you. Not Bert, Adam, I'll start with you. Who was the MVP of the wild card round to you?
To me, it was not a player. It was a coach. And I'm going to give the MVP of the wild card round to Kyle Shanahan. He showed that coaching beats talent more times than not. I almost want to go on and say 100% of the time, but sometimes there is just too much sheer talent that you can get bailed out by it. We hear the rumblings over from Philadelphia right now, ironically the team who Kyle Shanahan just beat in the wild card round. But you're talking about George Kittle leaving this game early with an Achilles. No Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, your rookie, Mike Williams, who was a solid player when you took him out of the draft. You lost the turnover battle 2-0, and the Niners still knocked out the defending champs on the road. That's so impressive to me. Kyle Shanahan is constantly talked about as one of the top coaches in the league, and if anybody had any doubt about that, watch this game, watch the coaching style, and you'll understand why leadership and truly pulling the best out of the players that you have available. It's the old saying of hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And Kyle Shanahan is one of the hardest workers in the National Football League, and that showed at Wild Card Weekend.
Bum-ass Eagles got exposed bad by the Niners. No Bosa, no Warner. Eagles are ass with the New York Giants.
He said, thanks, Adam. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Bert. Adam. Yeah, like the comment said it. Like they weren't. It wasn't just them two. They were missing. The Niners were missing a lot of players, like specifically on defense. And again, I know a lot of people jumped down my throat the last couple weeks, basically the entire year, of me basically saying you Eagles fans continue to using winning as a Band-Aid, are ignoring the obvious. And it's cool that you're squeaking by some of these games in the regular season, but once you get to the playoffs, that stuff it's going to catch up to you eventually. I am always knowing. I tried to tell you. You didn't want to listen. I get it. You want to throw wins. Jalen Hurts this. And now there's no excuse. The Eagles fired their offensive coordinator. I don't want to hear. Jalen Hurts isn't going to magically all of a sudden become a better pocket passer. He's never been that. Ask Nick Saban. Again, the drops by A.J. Brown, you can't talk all that talk and then drop passes.
Horrible.
Again, it's so firing the offensive coordinator is cool. I'm sure they'll get somebody in there that can maybe help, but it doesn't fix – they better, but it doesn't fix the core problem because at the end of the day, it's still execution. Like, imagine if A.J. Brown caught all them passes. We probably wouldn't be talking about it. Like, and that lies the problem for me with the Eagles. Bert, who is your wild card MVP?
Man, you're not going to like this one, Jerm, but
Oh, no.
I was most impressed by Caleb Williams. Say what you want, and I know he had 2 picks on the day too, but I think for me, when you factor in the things of first playoff game, a lot of expectation from the Bears, huge rivalry too, but beyond that, first half was fucking trash, honestly, and he had to close an 18-point gap in the second half and lead into as close to a game-winning drive as possible. And then, obviously the defense went back out there and took care of business. But still 360 on the day, 2 touchdowns. But the second half of that game, he looked calm, cool, collected. He was making perfect throws, and I was just absolutely impressed. And look, as good as I watched Josh Allen play on Sunday, and I know that's probably going to be yours, Jerm, I just could not ignore the fact that for someone first time in this situation in a rivalry like that, wild card weekend, man, that was impressive to me. So I had to go to him.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in you, Bert. Hey, but you know what? Shout out to Caleb Williams. Shout out to Brandon McManus for missing those field goal kicks. Because if we were talking about making 2 field goals, we wouldn't be talking about the Bears winning the game. And that's, again, Bears luck out again. Packers lost that game more than the Bears won it. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
But listen, it is what it is. The Bears are going to continue to win this way. That's not sustainable. If he had a 50% completion percentage and he threw two really bad interceptions, the Bears fans, when we made our predictions last week, I said it's going to come down to the stupid turnover. I thought Caleb Williams would make it. Caleb Williams did make it. He made 2 of them, and he was terrible. Literally 80% of the game. Again, you're talking about the Packers who were up 21-3, couldn't close the deal. I don't know what happened to them in the second half. But I will give the Bears credit. That has happened to them routinely throughout this run to the playoffs, and they have, to their credit, because of Ben Johnson's greatness, capitalized on it. And that's what they brought him in for. Shout out to them. We'll see if their luck continues with the Rams. I think the only really advantage they have is that it's not in LA, right? Because the Rams were the wild card or something. So, or they were the 5th seed, 6th seed. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with them. Bert, you know me so well. Who else could it be but Josh Allen? By himself.
I was going to hate if it wasn't.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We're not big stat guys, but I had the troll that lives in Mike Powers' basement pull up some numbers for me, just based off Wild Card Weekend. Guess who the most accurate passer was in the wild card round? He had an 80% completion percentage.
Yeah,
that's Joshua Patrick, okay? I just want to let you know, okay? Who was the best when the pocket was kept clean? Shout out to the Bills' offensive line.
Huge.
Josh Allen. Guess who was the best quarterback under pressure? Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who was the best quarterback against the blitz in Wild Card Weekend? Wow. Josh Allen.
Shit, he had to be. They were getting to him left and right.
100%. And
almost took him out.
Not least, the best quarterback on 3rd and 4th down conversion rate. That'd be Josh Allen.
Yep.
So, again, that's without a leg. That's without a hand. That's with everything else that was wrong with him. Losing Gabe Davis, and then technically Tyrell Shaver, shout out to him, playing a whole half of football with a torn ACL. And then shout out to the Jags run defense, which me and Bert, we talked about that. I figured we were going to stop James Cook, and this would have to be a Josh Allen game. This guy had 80% completion percentage. More importantly, Josh Allen didn't have the 40-yard loss of down trying to make something happen sack, right? He didn't have that YOLO pass interception that should never have been thrown. He took what the defense gave him, and he chipped away at it, and he won the game. And the defense was just good enough to beat the Jags. I think the Jags kind of messed up the game plan. I think they averaged 7 yards per carry in the first half running. I don't know why they stopped running the football. The moment they put in Trevor Lawrence's hands, that it was over. So I don't know what happened. We'll see what happens in the future. But yeah, Josh Allen, simply just because against a tougher opponent with worse circumstances, Josh Allen just shined. And so I'm gonna give it to Joshua Patrick Allen. We touched on it earlier. Adam, you had the Eagles lose. You had the Chargers lose.
Mm-hmm.
Who proved to be the bigger frauds this season?
I just want to say up front before I answer the start of this segment, this is a certified Eagles hate question. Like without a doubt. Without a doubt. I just want to put that out there. I'm sure you people watching know that. You kept up with the show. You've kept up with Jerm's antics all year, which he's had some validity. I'll give it to him. He's not been 100% wrong. Mostly wrong, but not 100% wrong. But the bigger frauds of the weekend were most definitely the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, when you look at what they had on the line, when you look at the talent that they have offensively, defensively, but the big story has come down to Nick Sirianni not being able to hire the offense in the correct way, not being able to run the offense. The best coach on that team right now is 60-something-year-old Vic Fangio, who is the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. And for the people who might want to jump in and say the Chargers, I don't think you could even be more wrong about that, because when you look at everything that surrounded them for the season, they were first in quarterback hurries. Justin Herbert had no all-pros, no Pro Bowlers, no 1,000-yard rusher, no 1,000-yard receiver. His wide receiver one is Keenan Allen, who is 33 years old. Both of his starting running backs got hurt. He had 20-plus different offensive line combinations this year, which led to him being the second most sacked quarterback in football. Both of his starting all-pro tackles got hurt in Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. And this man still won 11 games. He still made the playoffs. The only two other quarterbacks in the league that probably could have pulled this off is your boy Joshua Patrick and the Patrick in Mahomes. Biggest fraud of the weekend was without question the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's unfortunate because y'all know I've backed the Eagles all year, and I was expecting more out of Philadelphia at this time. I thought that more was going to come out of the team, but the things that had plagued them all year long came to be their downfall in the wild card.
Bert?
I mean, not much more to add on to that. I mean, I think to Adam's credit pointing it out, yeah, this is obviously a question teed up for everybody to say the Eagles. But when you look at it, and Adam hit it right on the head, there were these little things that basically that we were talking about all season long. Inconsistent play calling. They obviously have struggles offensively in their game plan. They have locker room issues with AJ Brown, and Jalen Hurts too. So all the Saquon having a down year comparison to last, obviously, putting more pressure on Jalen Hurts to throw. It's just, there's so many things leading up to it. And Jerm, when we spoke last week, we basically, and granted it was the end of the season, but we looked at the Bills-Eagles game and how there was zero offense from the Eagles in the second half of that game. And we sat here and we said a different Eagles team is going to need to show up if they're even going to be competitive. And despite how close the game was, when you look at the injuries on the Niners side of things, I mean, this was a very winnable game for them if there were no drop passes, if they obviously made the right calls. But I mean, at the end of the day, if we're looking for frauds, this is easily it from this weekend. Easily.
Yeah, because you could look at the Chargers game and say they only scored 3 points. They do have some Pro Bowlers still active on the team, but this was kind of, the worst case scenario. You watch Justin Herbert basically the last quarter of the season fight for his life, like literally put the team on his back, and it's hard to say they were frauds for the season. Like if they were completely healthy and were playing like this, then they would easily be frauds. But you got the Eagles, you got some people who believe in the antiquated, the weird defending champions. Like they had a lot to prove. Like they, with all the drama, a lot of that self-inflicted stuff, a lot of the non-addressing, because again, they were winning games. They felt like they could overcome that. So they ignored it or pushed it off. And now, it all comes to a head in this playoff game in an ugly, on the field and off the field. You have Nick Sirianni chasing his receiver down the sideline after a missed fourth down conversion, screaming at each other. And then the AJ Brown not speaking to the media. And it was just a lot of stuff that the Eagles kind of just allowed to fester throughout the season. And they just proved that, people just thought, they'll be all right. They'll turn it on. They'll do this. They're Super Bowl champs and blah, 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 blah. And it just stayed the same. And so for me, the Eagles proved to be the biggest frauds. Not really by anything they did on the field. Again, they won a bunch of games. They won the division. It was just, they led us to believe that it was going to be all right. And it clearly was not. So, it's definitely got to be the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, so switching.
Don't y'all think the Packers were more fraudulent, maybe? Or maybe even the Jags? That's what I was thinking.
So, no,
the Packers blowing that lead?
Yeah, but Micah Parsons going down. I mean, yes, but Micah Parsons going down, they had some things going on with some of their skill players down the stretch. And then, again, the Packers started the season off hot, but then they lost a few games and they tailed off. So the hype around the Packers kind of went down. Then it came back up because they won a few games, but then Micah Parsons got hurt. And then it was just kind of like, who's going to win the NFC North? Because then the Lions were still creeping around. So there wasn't that, like the Packers were going to run away with it like there was in the first 2 or 3 games of the season. The Eagles were consistently all throughout the year. We weren't talking about really their play on the field because they were winning. We were talking about, oh my God, what's going to happen with A.J. Brown? Like it was all circus stuff. It really wasn't. People weren't worried because of them, again, letting us know, hey, we're winning games. We're fine. It's all good, baby. This is just the way it is. And, and obviously it was not. The Jags, we didn't know the Jags were going to be in the playoffs 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I can't call them frauds. Like they overachieved. Like they're fine. Like it's, and I don't even know
about the Jags.
And then if Daniel Jones didn't get hurt, we wouldn't be talking about them anyway. So I can't call them frauds because they wouldn't be in. And they should just be sure if they were actually going to be in the playoffs. So, I'd kind of sit with that notion right there. But on to the divisional round. We have 2 number 1 seeds. I got the week off, got to kind of survey the land. We have the number 1 seed Broncos in the AFC facing Josh Allen, a banged-up Bills team on a short week, which is really unfair cross-country, but it's cool. We'll play them on Saturday. Then you have the Seahawks hosting the Niners, which the Niners really want really bad. So which number 1 seed is in the most danger or should be on upset alert?
I thought it was great how you wrote in the question the Broncos against Josh Allen, because that's how it feels, right? It's Josh Allen. Is it the Bills team or is it Josh? That's the forefront really pulling it forward. But my answer is going to go the other way. I think it's the Seahawks against the Niners again. When we opened up the show talking about, after Mike Tomlin, the wild card MVP, the way Kyle Shanahan has his guys playing now, it might not be able to sustain against the Seahawks, but I think the way that the Niners are being coached right now, that's just something that you really can't mimic in the league at the moment, considering what they're going through. And we still have to see. We still have to have the ultimate question answered about Sam Darnold in the playoffs. We've seen him be able to perform in some big-time season games this year. Last year, with the Vikings, we saw him really not do well against the Rams in the final game of the season that gave them their playoff spot. And then, of course, you get to the playoffs, and the rest is history from there. But we have to see if he's able to hold up against this Niners defense, which is very banged up. But I believe when you look at a defensive coordinator in Robert Saleh, who is one of the better ones, probably a top 5, worst case scenario, top 10 defensive coordinator, former head coach, he's going to have that continuity. He's going to have that confidence, not only with his team, but in the head coach, Kyle Shanahan, as well. So I think that's really going to be the biggest question, is how well does Kyle Shanahan coach again? He's very fired up. I know his team is believing. They've still got Brock Purdy. They've still got, Christian McCaffrey. So they've got some weapons to be able to perform well. And do we see Sam Darnold win a home playoff game and get the Hawks to the NFC Championship like a lot of people are expecting?
Bert?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going the other way on this one. I think if we're looking for upset territory, it's going to be the Bills against Denver. And look, this is redemption game for Bo Nix, right? I mean, this game is certainly on his mind to make up for a 2024 wildcard exit by Josh Allen himself. So I think when you're thinking about it, I mean, the key here is what the Bills need to do is establish that run early, keep it consistent, and open it up for play action opportunities. Because at the end of the day, when as good as they played, they still escaped wild card weekend. I mean, let's be honest, that was a very close game overall, and they needed to be more dominant, and especially going against Denver's defense, which has been easily one of the most consistent units this season as a whole. And also Josh Allen, and as much as we loved his play last week, you can't tell me that there weren't 3 or 4 parts of that game where your heart sank because you're like, oh no, it's his head. Oh no, it's his hand. Oh no, it's his knee. oh no, it's this. So, we're obviously hoping he stays healthy throughout, but the competitor and the man he's going to do what it takes to move on to the next round in itself. And that's why I think that that's more likely. And look, as much as yes, we can sit here and absolutely say that Kyle Shanahan is doing wonders from a coaching standpoint. Coaching's only going to go get you so far, especially from a game plan. But like when you look at the players on the field, you look at the walking wounded that they have already. You hope that no others get added to the list, and you take a great Seahawks squad at home. Niners continue to be banged up, but I mean, look, talking to a Giant fan, I know what road warriors are. So, especially when it comes down to, phenomenal playoff runs, I just do not foresee the Niners competing at that same level as I do the Bills potentially beating Denver.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, I think because the Bills are so banged up that makes them dangerous. And when I looked at kind of the stats, the Niners Seahawks thing, I trust the Seahawks as a team, regardless of Sam Darnold's lack of proof. I think he, and we'll see if they turn it into one of those Sam Darnold games, if that's going to be the Niners defensive game plan, kind of like how, the Commanders and the Chiefs were like, hey, let's take away Saquon, let's take away AJ and make Jalen beat us. And Jalen ended up doing that. I think that'll be the game plan for the Niners for Sam Darnold. Hey, we got it. JSN, lock him down. Kenneth Walker, lock him down. Let's make Sam Darnold win the game. This has probably been Sam Darnold's best team he's been on from top to bottom.
For sure.
And so maybe that's enough. Maybe he's fine. Pretty good in Minnesota, but I think the Seattle situation is a little bit better for him. And let's see if that's enough to kind of get him over the hump. But man, watching Brock Purdy kind of take that next step, watching this Niners team kind of do what they had to do against the Eagles and just swarm, and kind of, even with all their injuries, it's kind of hard, with the Bills and the Broncos game. I looked at, okay, the Jags run defense was one of the best. Maybe not the Bills, right? Or like the Broncos defense, it's really lies in their secondary. The two numbers that I looked at that were very interesting to me were that they were terrible against tight ends and terrible against pass catching running backs. Well, what do you know? That's all the Bills have. That's literally all we have. We have three really good tight ends with Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and then the rookie Jackson Hawes. And then obviously you have James Cook. And then we'll see. Hopefully, if Ty Johnson plays, I'll feel a little bit better. But man, Josh Allen is still on the field. It's the same thing I said about the Jags game. Like, the Jags should have won. On paper, they should have won. I feel the same about the Broncos. But do you guys, like, when you think of the Denver Broncos, do you really put them on that caliber? Like, have they been really that impressive? They have a lot of one-score games that they won. Like, they don't, I'm not calling them frauds or anything like that. I'm just saying, as a number one seed, they don't feel as overwhelming as Seattle does for the NFC. Like, they just don't feel like a true, what do they do really well? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you've ever watched a Broncos game and said, man, they've just been dominating. No, they've been a good, well-coached team that just keeps chugging along. I don't fear Bo Nix. I don't fear, anything. You fear their running game? No, like, their secondary is like that. You know what I mean?
Their defensive line leading the league in sacks.
Right, like that's type of stuff. But again, Josh Allen has already played good defenses. Already beaten. He's beaten New England, the second best rated defense in the league. He's beaten Jacksonville with one of the top run defenses in the league. So the Bills can do it. And then now you have this idea that the Bills are kind of not playing with house money, but they're not playing scared. They have every excuse in the world to fold. And the fact that they have this belief makes them more dangerous, because you don't know who's going to be playing for them. That's an advantage for the Bills, right? Like, they don't have to prepare for certain players. So the Bills have that kind of element of surprise. Now those players have to step up, obviously, but it is, with everybody banged up, there's not tape on anybody who's coming into play, and the Bills need to scheme these especially these receivers. Curtis Samuel's coming back. Ed Oliver practiced today. He missed basically the entire season. He's literally our best pass rusher, and so supposedly he's playing in this game. So there's a lot to look forward to, and so the Broncos, to me, the Broncos should be on the biggest upset alert, because I don't think if the Niners win, I think the Niners are like a fake 6 seed. I think the Niners are every bit of a 1 seed that the Seattle Seahawks are, and I don't think it would be much of an upset if they won. I don't think anybody would be surprised if they won, or if they ended up, if the roles were reversed, if the Niners were the 1 seed, I don't think anybody would be quite as shocked.
Good point.
The next game, more faith. Do you have more faith in the Texans defense or the Patriots offense to advance to the AFC title game? Go ahead, Adam.
I definitely have to lean the way of the Texans defense. Now, both of these units are one of the better ones in the NFL, but I think when you're taking a look at Houston's defense, as it has been the best in the league unanimously across the board, it feels like when you look at everything they've done over this season. Will Anderson, first time, first team All-Pro. He's very ecstatic about that, and he deserves it. He's a guy who's improved every single year. You look at Derek Stingley, the veteran. You look at Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia on the other side of that secondary. You take a look at the linebacking core, like D'Amico Ryans leading this defensive unit is absolutely great. Also seeing him do it at the head coaching position, but it's got to be the Texans defense, number 1 in total defense, scoring defense, and passing defense, number 4 in rushing defense, and then number 3 in the NFL in takeaways. Now, that's not to slight the Patriots offense, who is the number 2 scoring offense at just under 29 points per game, and actually number 1 in the league in yards per play at 6.2. They led the NFL in explosive plays as well, and Drake May is the league's highest-rated passer on throws 20-plus air yards down the field. But what worries me is really the lack of weapons that Drake May has at his disposal compared to the abundance of experience and weapons and leadership that Texans defense really brings to the table, because, this is by far the best team that the Patriots have played all season, and without question, the best defense that New England has seen. Now you're in a playoff game. I believe New England is at home, correct?
Yep. Sure are.
Yep. So we're going to see how they fare against this Texans defense. So give me a nod to the Texans defense, but if the Patriots offense is able to somehow, make a way, then credit to them.
Bert?
Yeah, not much more to add to that. That was exactly my take too. I'm going to go and trust the best defense in the NFL over an offense that obviously struggled last week, right?
Yep.
4 for 11 on third down conversions in itself. They looked a little bit sloppy at times. Their first touchdown thrown was in the fourth quarter. It was, look, it was terrible offense on both sides, but the explosiveness that we saw out of the gate, and I know, Jerm, you had mentioned last week, it's going to be interesting to see how Houston plays, because they had to travel to Pittsburgh in cold weather games in the playoffs, but their defense came out explosive. Two touchdowns on the day, forced fumble from Aaron Rodgers, as well as a pick six too. This is what you need in playoff defense. That's going to get you there. And honestly, if they can keep that momentum playing in Foxborough, then I'm going to trust them far more than I am in Drake May and the Pats.
Yeah, I have zero faith in the Patriots offense. I know what they did in the regular season, but I watched Drake May throw for 180 yards and win, and everyone's acting like it's the second coming of the Tom Brady dynasty, and it's not. Like, they won because the Chargers imploded and that they were limping to the finish line, and you can't rely on winning playoff games scoring 16 points unless your defense is the 85 Bears, and the Patriots defense, while good, is not the 85 Bears. So that Texans defense has trapped all season. They overcame 2 terrible fumbles by CJ Stroud. Like, I don't know what's up with him. Like, he got butter, like his hands, he got carpal tunnel or something. He couldn't hold on to the ball. I don't know if the Pittsburgh cold is that cold. Maybe he needs to start wearing gloves with hand warmers on there. But like, those guys, that unit can generate organic pressure with just 4 guys. And I trust that. That reminded me of that Eagles defensive line in the Super Bowl, where they didn't even blitz Patrick Mahomes and they were all over him, and they felt like they were playing with an extra guy on the field. And when you have a defense that has that, yeah, I'm going to trust that. And it's literally been carrying them all season. So I will go ahead and trust the Texans defense over that Patriots offense and probably see the Texans into the AFC. The only good thing about, well, I can't even say that because the Texans just did it in Pittsburgh. Now, New England's I was going to say out in the cold weather, maybe that changes, but they just did it in Pittsburgh. Granted, New England's to me a much better team than Pittsburgh, but
agreed.
The fact that they were still able to generate and I think that they proved they could do it. So the last game, we have Caleb Williams traveling to the Rams. Can Caleb Williams hit the magic again, Adam? Can Caleb survive Matt Stafford, the presumable MVP, and win a game and go to the NFC title game and shut me up probably for good?
That would complete your run on the haterade sipping you've been doing all 2025 NFL season, I'm sure, and the audience would probably agree with me on that one. Mm-hmm. It's definitely possible. When you take a look at both of these teams, like they should have lost in wild card weekend, arguably. You see Green Bay collapse, and even though Matthew Stafford battled through a finger injury, Bryce Young did his best to tie the game up multiple times and not even multiple times, take leads multiple times and leave the field with about 2.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Before the Rams just had a crazy, 60-plus yard drive led by Matthew Stafford. So really holding on to a lead and playing an entire 4 quarters of complimentary football is going to be really important here for both of these teams. But I love what Caleb Williams is doing. I love what he's bringing to the table. Now he's going to be facing a solid Rams defense. The secondary, you'd like to see more to be desired from them. And then you take a look at the defense for Chicago. Former Saints coach Dennis Allen is absolutely playing, great, or coaching his players up to play great over in Chicago. And he's fitting right in. And, Chicago's defense has been one of the stronger units in the NFL for the year. I fully believe Caleb Williams has the talent to go and win this game and get to the NFC Championship and maybe give us like a storybook run like we saw with, the Washington Commanders last year in Jaden Daniels' rookie season. But he will have to play a full 4 quarters of football because Sean McVay is too experienced and too great, too elite of a head coach to let Caleb Williams play sorry for 1 half like Matt LaFleur did, come out at halftime and say you got to keep your foot on the neck and then blow a lead like that. That won't happen under Sean McVay's watch. So I'll be rooting for the Bears this weekend because you won't find a throw better in the NFL, many of them across any level of football, than that 4th and 8 throw with the season on the line that Caleb Iceman Williams gave us in Wild Card Weekend.
Bert?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has the potential to go that way for a Bears win. I absolutely do. And honestly, I'm starting to believe a little bit. So why not? I do think at the end the Rams have the edge.
Caleb's got that swagger, bro.
Yeah, I think it's going to largely depend on Caleb Williams' play, and more importantly, his play in the first and second. I think with the Rams' experience and their offensive firepower, I think it balances better than the Bears overall. But
the Rams are the better team.
Yeah,
for sure.
Bears at home, though.
Yeah, Bears at home.
Magical season. Who knows? I would not be surprised if we see very similar Caleb Williams game-winning drive. And honestly, I think at this point, I mean, you got 50% of the teams that you were hating all season that are out of the playoffs. I think there's going to be one hanging around just to spite you, and I think it's going to be the Bears.
Hey, buddy, in the comments, is that George Kittle's cousin? Dead ass.
I was just going to say, I thought it was George. I was like,
hey, watch out. Now we got George Kittle in the comment. Yeah, George Kittle burner. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so he says that Fred Warner is officially practicing, and he's looking fresh. Ricky Purcell also back. I forgot that he was out too, so that's another huge. I don't know, Fred. I saw that Fred was practicing, but I think they're going to be super cautious with him.
Yeah, he could be a game time for sure.
And to the point where maybe they have faith that they can do it without him, and then hopefully have him back for the title game, because I know his injury is pretty gnarly. Having Ricky back is huge. That's going to take a lot of pressure off. And so, yeah, Fred limited, Ricky basically full. That's the same with Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver was limited. Curtis Samuel coming back from IR, he was a full participant. So the Niners and Bills are facing kind of similar situations. But I mean, I think the Niners are like a fake 6 seed. I think they're way better than their rank. You know what I mean? Like, and not in a bad way. I think they're just way better than what a 6 seed.
Yeah,
would
the way
be.
the seeding fell, like
right.
They
just
just
the
so
NFC
happened to
West
fall to
is just
sixth.
yeah. You have 3 monster teams in the NFC West. That's just and the team has to have the lower seed. So. Blame the system that the 8 and 9 Panthers got to host a playoff game. So I don't know what to tell you, man. That's just the way that's the way the thing goes. Listen, this lie that the Chicago Bears and their fans have been living is going to be over, because as Adam Lewis brilliantly pointed out, Sean McVay is the truth. That's the X factor.
Yes.
Sean McVay is not the choke artist that Matt LaFleur is.
Right.
I mean, like, this guy's been there before, okay? And listen, here's the problem. Bert, I don't want you to believe. Stop believing, because I care about you, okay?
I knew as soon as Bert said that, I was like, Jerm's not going to let him get out of this episode.
Blink twice if you need help, yeah.
Hey, if you want to believe in 50% completion and 2 interceptions, and that's a sustainable way of winning football games.
But did they win?
You sound like an Eagles fan, is what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're sounding like the Eagles. And we saw where that got them. I'm just warning
you. Can you? I get where you're coming from when you're not a Caleb believer, and your viral clip multiple times that said he sucks, bro. He fucking sucks. He does play like he fucking sucks 50% of the time. And you wonder how he went first overall. But then you start to remember the way he played at USC. You're like, okay, this makes sense. Caleb Williams was not the most polished quarterback coming out of college football. Can you at least admit he's a top talent and he does have ice in his veins when it's needed? You know, the Bears have won 7 games this year, an NFL record, when trailing in the final 2 minutes of a football game. That largely comes at the hands of your quarterback being clutch. I'm just saying. Ben Johnson is the guy, but he took the job because of what Chicago presented.
Top guy, what are you saying? Like, what do you mean by that?
Like a top talent. Like when he needs to showcase talent to make plays to get the Bears into situations to set an NFL record of 7 wins by trailing in the final 2 minutes of a game. Can you at least agree that he does have that quality? He just needs to be more consistent. Or are you just like, are you out on Caleb Williams? Like you're not a believer. You don't think he's going to be a franchise guy.
Well, there's context, and here's the problem I'm having, because I do like clutch. He is clutch, if I'm going to give him a compliment, because at the end of the day, regardless, the Packers blew 18 points and somebody had to score them, and Caleb did that. You're right. Fine.
Do you hear that, Bert?
He does.
No.
Who the fuck else was going to do it?
That's not different.
Well,
hold on. That's not anything different than I've always said. The off-platform stuff he does, the arm angles, it is special. Like, there's not many people that can do that. But I think, the problem is Caleb makes these 3 wow plays that go viral, and everyone on Twitter screams that he's the GOAT. And they forget about the other 90% of the game where he was dog shit. And that is what I can't, like, so you can't take the minority and make it the majority. And that's my problem. You have to be consistent. Bert, we have a rule on this show. What's the rule? Go ahead, tell me.
It's a 3-year sample period.
3 years. I got
I lose.
We're in
3-year samples.
You were asked the first year. You were okay. I'm not going to say you were good. You were okay. Your team was good. That running was the Chicago Bears run this entire time, Adam? I've conceded that Caleb Williams makes some wow plays. Can you concede to me that this year was more about the run game, the 2 running backs, and that fantastic defense and Ben Johnson more than Caleb Williams? Who are you accrediting more of this credit to? The success of the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson, obviously number 1, but those 2 running backs were amazing all year. They carried those games.
Monsters.
The defense led the league in takeaways. The defense. If you look at the raw numbers of the defense, it actually doesn't look that impressive. Like, their numbers aren't overall, but when you lead the league in takeaways, those are special plays that
possessions.
You're stealing possessions, and that's an abnormality. That is an outlier. That's not a rule. So I can't, and then obviously you have Caleb Williams, who, because other teams are faltering or whatever the weird situations are, he's able to take advantage of them. Yes, that takes some talent. Okay, fine.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit there and act. People are throwing out like Patrick Mahomes. Like, what are you talking about? He's again, he had 50% completion percentage, you guys. He had 2 really terrible bad look interceptions. Yes, he can better Anthony Richardson. He's who the Colts thought Anthony physical ability and intangibles, but he does just enough to make you believe. Just like the Anthony Richardson could throw 60 yards from his knees, but he couldn't throw a 10-yard out route. Sound familiar? Sound familiar to anybody? Right. That's Caleb Williams. Now, he needs to do that more consistently for me to give him the credit that the Bears fans want to give him. They're only giving it to him because the Bears are NFC North champions, and they've been asked, and I get it. They're excited. But there's context that needs to be had with some of these things, and I'm here to provide it. When I heard this guy, Bert said he believes in Caleb, this is what that was me. I couldn't believe you did it.
It's fine.
I couldn't believe it. Is he going to survive the Rams? I don't know, man. The Rams, much like the Niners, are a fake 5 seed. They're not. They're the 5 seed, but they easily could have been the 1 seed. They had some injury concerns, and again, Caleb Williams is probably going to be asked for most of the game, and then he's going to make those 2 or 3 wow plays that everybody's going to be all raving about. But you know what Matt Stafford's going to do? Super Bowl champion Matt Stafford. He's going to make those 15 boring throws that actually win the game. So I'm going to take the Rams. Yeah. And I know Chicago guys are going to kill me for it, but I trust elite processing and guys who have been there before. And experience over, freak athleticism in the last 3 minutes of the game. Call me old-fashioned. Sorry about that. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the guy that's done it before. And again.
No, I'm with you. I think the Rams will win as well.
No, I know it's in Chicago. I mean, Matt Stafford knows what time it is. He's an NFC North veteran, so like he'll bring it together. But Caleb Williams, you guys are killing me, man, with this Caleb Williams nonsense. I agree with all that, but I do trust the Bears in terms of matchups over the Rams. Stafford has been turnover prone recently, and the Bears take the ball away. Yeah, sure. Like I don't think the weather is going to allow Matt Stafford to air it out, so that would be the Bears' way into this. Keep the game close, to keep the game close enough so Caleb Williams can summon up some of that Iceman magic that they're calling it. Maybe that'll happen, but I mean, you're gonna find it. Like I just Christian Watson and stupid helmet Romeo Dobbs is one thing, but they're not Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, see what happens with that. This was fun. Before we get to game ball, Adam Lewis, please promo yourself because you'll do it better than I can.
Appreciate you, man. At NFL with AJL on all social media and podcast platforms. Big time Saints and Dogs content creator. I'm one of the rare breeds out there from Georgia. I'm a Georgia fan, but I love my New Orleans Saints. It's the ultimate exercise of free will. I usually have shows out every Wednesday and Saturday. I always love having guests on the show, and we cover NFL and college football as well. So be sure to tap in weekly. We're posting all the time on social, and I read all the comments and love getting at you guys in there as well for the debates.
So if you want to get smarter with college football and NFL, specifically with the Saints, please follow and check my guy Adam Lewis, NFL with AJL. Bert, do you have a game ball you want to give out?
I mean, it has to go to Mike Tomlin. I mean, regardless of where he takes his career next, I think what he's done over 19 years with the Steelers has just been nothing short of exceptional. And I have to say, caps off to him and celebrate him for everything that he's done. And I'm very excited to see what he does next chapter, whether it is in a booth, whether it's, anything to do with broadcasting and or football operations, or even if he decides to be the head coach of another team again. How can you not like Mike Tomlin, Did
you hear me?
I didn't. Is it me?
Yeah, your turn. Sorry.
Okay, no, you're good. No worries. I'm going to give my game ball to Bryce Young, bro. I think Bryce Young really proved himself in the wild card weekend. I think now he did have to depend on the Atlanta Falcons beating my Saints at home in the final week of the season in order to sneak in, but he made it, right? Bryce Young showed that he deserves a fifth-year option picked up, which they did shortly after the win or shortly after the loss. And he showed that if you get him in the right situation of a home playoff game, he could very well take you there. Bryce Young left the field a winner with 2.5 minutes left in this football game, which honestly shocked me. And when you look at Bryce Young and CJ Stroud now playing it out over these few years, they're really on the same playing level now. So we'll see how it comes for the contract year. And I think Bryce Young was probably the most impressive aspect of the weekend next to Kyle Shanahan's coaching, which wasn't a shocker, but to be able to do that on the road in Philadelphia, phenomenal.
Yeah, I live in North Carolina now. There's a lot of excited Panthers fans, specifically at my job, and I was particularly harsh on Bryce Young, but he showed me something this season, and so
I still think he's too small.
Yeah, but it looks like Dave Canales has finally found somewhat of a formula, and at least you can have something you can build towards. So now, okay, this is what we got. This is what we need to get a little bit better. And that's all you can hope for, man. Like, you need the quarterback. And Bryce Young showed in certain situations. You need to get a little bit more help for their outstanding receiver, Tate McMillan. Xavier Legette. It was cute when he was out here eating raccoons and talking country, but he ain't the guy. You need to go ahead and, and I'm not saying you need to break the bank for skill players because I don't believe in paying skill players, but, focus on that offensive line. It seemed like they found a good rhythm on offense. Maybe if you can upgrade the offensive coordinator, because some of that play calling down the stretch was just a little head scratching. But more importantly, Bryce Young took a step forward, and that's all you can ask for. My game ball is from the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Bert, one of my favorite things is when players talk shit back to the fans. And you dog shit city Milwaukee Buck fans haven't had shit to do with shit. Nobody even know where Milwaukee was if it wasn't for Giannis. Booing the team that brought you a chance. They have two banners hanging from those rafters. One from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar way back when, and one from Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I get it, man. Team's not doing well this season. There's a lot of things going on, but you're booing the team. You're booing the one thing of it. Javier Baez with the New York Mets. I even make booing Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I hope it was worth it. I hope it was worth spending your week's salary on a nosebleed ticket to boo Giannis Antetokounmpo. And now he's going to leave you. So good luck. Enjoy going to pay your good hard-earned money to go watch Kyle Kuzma, because that's where you're headed. That's where you're headed. Kyle Kuzma and probably Victor Oladipo, because he's going to come from China, from the Shanghai Sharks, because that's all you're going to be able to get to attract to the city, because no free agent's ever going to go to Milwaukee. I'm telling you that right now. So I hope it was worth it. Enjoy. All right, I'm done with that. Please, thank you for joining. Like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us at Stuff About Sports on the Instagrams and the @ Give Us a Shot.
Follow right
there. Yeah, right there. It's all up there. And
right there.
This weekend, and we'll be back next week to chop it up with you once again.